festive holiday, a holiday that has been somewhat taken over by commercialism and Hallmark and chocolate makers, but yet a holiday that is rooted in a Christian story and the story of St. Valentine's. And so it's good to be together to celebrate the gifts of love in all its many forms. And if Alexa was correct this morning when I had our morning conversation, the last time we gathered on a Sunday on the 14th was in 2016. So it's been 5 years since we've been able to don our red and gather on this festive day. So it is good to be together. As always, a welcome to all of us who are gathering in person in this space and those who are gathering with us through the gifts of technology and Facebook Live. And we are indeed connected by God's love that enfolds us and surrounds us wherever we find ourselves this morning. As we gather, as always, I draw your attention to announcements in the bulletin and a few that are not there. It has been a fun week if you've been following our PUC Chocoholic page on Facebook. A week of sweets and treats and people getting spots and lucky winners, some families luckier than others, but I will not mention that. But it has been a fun week and want to extend a huge thank you to our bakers and fudge crafters, our organizers, to Patty and to Grace for everyone who took spots or made donations to support our Chocoholics Week, as we had to transform our normal Valentine's Chocoholics and go online with something fun. And so we don't have final numbers, but rough calculations I think will be over $1,400 by the time we receive all the monies and sort everything through. So a thank you to everyone for all your support. And stay tuned for what might be an Easter fun time. And as always, the invitation from our Ways and Means Committee, if you have an idea about a fun fundraiser, to speak to myself or Mary McCollum, or when you see that the Ways and Means Committee are meeting, come join us. We're open to those new ideas and to seeing how we can have fun together and still also raise some funds for the work and ministry that we share. Today is the last season in the season of Epiphany. 12 days after our celebrations of Christmas, we mark the Feast of Epiphany. And these past weeks have been a time when we clung onto the light and we've sought to be bold people as being bearers of the light, of letting God's light shine through us and in our world. And so this week we move into another liturgical season as we make a transition into the season of Lent. And I will be saying more about our Lenten theme, but just a reminder that Lent does begin this week, the Shrove Tuesday, Trying Take Tuesday, and then Ash Wednesday. And please note the invitation regarding Ash Wednesday to join me on Facebook Live at 7 p.m. in a time of Lenten devotions as we mark Ash Wednesday and begin our Lenten journey. And then next Sunday, you'll note that we'll be celebrating in the sacrament of communion as we're nourished at table for the journey that is Lent. If you're joining us online, then please prepare for communion at home, and we'll gather, share the gifts of bread and wine next Sunday. So again, please go through your bulletin and take note of the announcements there, and I will be saying more about our Lenten journey as we gather in worship this morning. Are there any other announcements that need to be made as we gather this morning? This year, as a way to mark Black History Month or African Heritage Month, our United Church of Canada created 2 new Black History Moment mission videos. The one that I'm sharing this morning will have a familiar face to many of us here at PIC United. It's the face of Patricia Watson. Patricia is a member of Bedford United, and along with Rose Johnson and David Foss and Joanne and Alan McDonald and Cecily and Randy were are part of a musical group called Sanctuary, and you might remember gathering in this place for the CD release of Sanctuary, and Patricia was with us on that time. So in this Black History moment, Patricia shares ways the wider church can learn from Black communities of faith in Atlantic Canada.
Lift Every Voice and Sing is a history lesson, a rallying cry, a pledge of unity for equality and justice. Lift Every Voice and Sing, often referred to as the Black National Anthem, is a hymn written as a poem by author, activist, and NAACP leader James Weldon Johnson in 1900. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty.
I'm Patricia Watson. I live in East LaHave, Nova Scotia, and my husband and I have been living in Nova Scotia for the last 23 years. I'm a member of Bedford United Church. I am a singer, so I sing once a month, and it's either something gospel or jazzy to add to the service. And at Bedford United, I've had the wonderful opportunity on many occasions to not only be guest singer, but also guest speaker. Identify people in their local communities that they can highlight and celebrate their accomplishments, not only during Black History Month, but throughout the year. Ponder ways to share the stories through videos and magazines and articles and suggestions for Sunday morning worship. The other is in exchange between churches. At Bedford United Church last year, we were going to do an exchange with one of the churches, the Black churches in Cherrybrook. COVID hit, so we haven't had a chance to do that. Encourage churches to incorporate more gospel type songs in their services and to use videos of possibly Black folks singing or preaching and making it a part of the service. And one of the other things I think is really important is to name the underlying spiritual principles that undergird anti-racism. And so another piece is in terms of developing maybe those subcommittees within the churches to start to brainstorm and look at ways that we can implement the different activities that celebrate Black Canadians.
So we continue to mark Black History and African Heritage Month as we renew our commitment to be people of justice, seeking to create a world and communities where all know they are enfolded in love, where we live in acts of love, and where we speak out and act to end racism in our community and indeed in our country. Our worship this morning is woven together by and it is grounded in the theme of this day, a theme of love. Love that is not simply mere sentiment, but love that transforms and empowers. Love that heals. Love that is of God and is holy. I hope that you're familiar with the name Valerie Carr. If not, look her up when you get home. She's a lawyer, filmmaker, author, activist, civil rights leader, and interfaith leader. Grounded in her Sikh faith, she is a prophetic voice in our world today. Valerie is the founder of the Revolutionary Love Project, which is a social movement reclaiming the power of love. Love not as a warm, fuzzy feeling, but love that is radical. Love that is a joy-filled force for justice and a wellspring for social change. Love for ourselves, love for others, love for our homes. Valerie reminds us that love transforms relationships and so communities. Love transforms cultures. Love transforms nations. Today, may her words ground us and inspire us. She writes, "You are with the holy and of the holy. You are with God and of God. You are with love and of love. And that kind of love saves us all." Today, we bring to a close the season of Epiphany, and we celebrate the love of God which transforms us, just as it did those first followers of Jesus. God's love transforming us, enfolding us, encouraging us, inspiring us, gathering us. And so we gather in this sacred yet ordinary place, a place of wisdom, a place of connection, a place of light, a place of love. May the love that breathes life into all humanity and all of creation continue to be born in us and through us. It is a new day, a day where we come together in worship, a day that brings new challenges, a day that offers new opportunities, a day that may be full of hurt or steeped in hope. Yet we know the Holy One loves us unconditionally. Yet we know no matter what the day brings, we are not alone.
Let us build a house where love can dwell, and all can safely live. A place where saints and children come, no words will forget. Let the hopes and dreams and visions grow
All are indeed welcome. And we are welcomed by the love of our God, a holy love that gathers us and grounds us. As we gather on this day, I invite us to not only spiritually but physically seek to open our hearts to the holy, to open our hearts in love and to love. Sometimes when we're seated, be it in a church pew or at home in an office chair or sofa, we physically close ourselves up. We kind of hunch over and we close up our heart and close up our breath and close up ourselves. So I invite us, if you can, to sit nice and straight. And if you feel comfortable, to put your hands at your side and just stretch out. This is your morning yoga. Stretch out for a moment. Just to try to just open your chest and open your heart. And in that, to breathe just a little more deeply. And to feel the breath, the spirit of love filling you. Place your hand on your heart. I read this week that scientists say that even that simple act of placing your hand on your heart has a physical reaction. It creates a chain within our physical being. A chemical gets released into our brains that we call oxytocin. And what does oxytocin do to you? It makes you feel good. You feel good? You got the oxytocin flowing? It makes you feel, even that simple act, scientists say, that we should do that once a day. Just place our hands on our heart and let the oxytocin flow and feel good and just be good. So we do open our hearts in prayer. The Reverend Hope Johnson offers these words. She writes, "We are one, a diverse group of proudly kindred spirits, here not by coincidence, but because we choose to journey together. We are active and proactive. We care deeply. We live our love the best we can." Please join with me in prayer. God of the young, the old, and in between, God of men, women, and children, God of all creation, God of each one of us, gather us. Open our eyes and ears and hearts to hear your word, to feel your goodness, and to see the presence of the living Christ in friend and stranger. May your love be expressed in all we do and all we share. Breathing in, we pray. May God's love fill me. And breathing out, may God's love flow through me. May God's love fill me. May God's love flow through me. May God's love fill me. May God's love flow through me. It's about love, they say. This morning, our worship service is certainly woven together and grounded by love. And I hope you, as always, taken a moment to ponder your worship bulletin and the message that it's offering to you this morning using American Sign Language. People know what this means? I love you. I love you in American Sign Language. One of the ways that many people have expressed love is through love songs. Anyone here have a favorite love song? Don't be shy. What love? A favorite love, oh, come on, the wedding song or an engagement song or that first dance with that first love song or that song you hear on the radio that as soon as you feel it, your eyes fell off and carpet. David, what's your favorite love song? What's love? It's a good one. But, Shelley, he didn't mean that. Love me tender. Other love songs?
Love is a many splendor.
Love is a many splendor. Other ones? Go home. Think about it. It's a good thing I have Alexa at home to help me out in the morning. Some of the Billboard top chart love songs of all times. Number one is Unchained Melody. Oh, yeah. Number two, Etta James, At Last. Number three, I Will Always Love You. Oh. Number four, Your Song by Elton John. And number five, The Carpenters. Who couldn't forget it? And Close to You. But there are other songs that didn't quite make the charts, but they were good songs. Anyone remember Roger Miller's song, If You Won't Be My Number One, Number Two on You? And Johnny Cash. You gotta love Johnny Cash. His great big love song hit, I've been flushed from the bathroom of your heart. Well, those they were songs we couldn't do actions to. And we don't have a big budget. So, Donna, come help us out with a surprise love song to help us all who have been struggling with those actions. If you can't get this, there's no hope for us. So, I love you. Anybody remember these cartoons? They were created by a New Zealand cartoonist by the name of Kim Kasali. The original inspiration for the cartoons came from a series of love notes that Kim drew for her future husband. In the 1960s, the love notes became a book that Kim published, and in the 1970s, she was contacted by newspapers, and the book was transformed into cartoons or comic strips, and they were syndicated. And for 50 years, the cartoons have been created. Love is a song in your heart. Love is a conversation starter. Love is when just being together is enough. Love is not saying, I told you so. And perhaps the one that gained her most fame was, love is being able to say you're sorry. A bit of a pushback to the famous line from that movie Love Story, which was, love means never having to say you're sorry. Love is. For Jesus, as we read the gospel stories, love is and love was and love will always be both a demand and a command. It is said that when Jesus was teaching, he was aware that his followers would never remember all of his teachings. They could never remember all the words and all the wisdom, just as they could never remember all the laws that were contained in the Hebrew scriptures, all those laws of the Torah. And so in the end, in the very end, Jesus left them with one thing to remember, and that was the most important demand and commandment: love. Love of self, love of others, love of enemies, love of our opponents, love of God. For love lies at the heart of our faith, and love is the heart of faith. Perhaps the most well-known and often read biblical passages on love comes from Paul's letter to the Corinthians. And in some biblical translations where there's headings in the Bible, it's often referred to as Paul's song to love, or Paul's hymn to love. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love never fails. But, as we also know, love is not always a success. And love might be kind, but it's hard. Love might be patient, but it's risky. Love is holy. Love is more than a sentiment. Love is not a noun, but love is a verb. It is the holy, the sacred in action. This morning, as we turn to words of Scripture and words to ponder, we turn to a modern adaptation of those words from 1 Corinthians. Love is. Love cannot be bought or sold. Love does not make a profit. Love does not hide from truth. Love dives deep. Love takes on the flesh. Love takes on flesh. Love is queer, and love is platonic, and love is erotic, and love is asexual. Love confronts evil. Love delights in pleasure. Love touches and weeps. Love flirts and feeds. Love creates. Love is risky. Love challenges systematic evil in all forms. Love is simple, but love is not easy. Love is collective. Love rises up. Love apologizes. Love believes. Love corrects. Love holds accountable. Love heals. Love tells its story. Love embraces everyone. Love embraces every creature. Love embraces all creation. Love knows us intimately. Love holds us collectively. Love transcends every boundary that seeks to confine it. Love will not tolerate violence in its name. Love does no harm. Love only sets us free.
Your love is amazing, steady and unchanging. Your love is a mountain firm beneath my feet. Your love is a mystery, how you gently lift me when I am surrounded. Your love carries me. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Your love makes me sing. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Your love makes me sing.
Love, God's love, is amazing and unchanging. And we are bearers of that love. We are bearers of that revolutionary love, drawing on the words of Valerie Fur. Love, it unites us across spiritual and religious traditions. It's what has empowered and propelled and been embodied by those prophetic voices of the old and of today. Love. It is central to a vision of our world as it ought to be. Love. Muhammad led it. Love. Jesus taught it. Love. Gandhi died for it. Love. Martin Luther King dreamt of it. Love. Mandela lived it. Love. And we are called to labor for it, to choose love. We are called to continually choose love in order to nourish our souls and drive away fear, just as we eat to nourish our bodies and drive away hunger. I am love. I am love. These words come to us from Susan Berry and her book, I Am Love, which she calls a love letter to the world. For each of us is worthy of love in all of its forms and expressions, and we are all capable of adding light to the world when we listen to our hearts and choose love. When I see someone going through a storm of hurt and unfairness, of anger and sadness, when the sun disappears and the skies grow dark, and I see there is fear, I ask myself, what can I do to help let the light back in? So I put my hands on my heart and listen. And that's where I find the answer. I have compassion. I act with tenderness. I am love. I can listen and not say a word. I can be there. For love is being present. I can hold and hug and say, everything will be all right. Love is comfort. I can speak softly and choose my words and my actions carefully. Love is gentle. I can give thanks for all that I have and all that I'm able to share. Love is gratitude. I can keep my mind and my body safe and healthy. Love is taking care of me. I can express what's important to me. Love is creative. I can know that no one is perfect. Love is understanding. I can do my best to make things better when something is wrong. Love is effort. I can celebrate those I've loved before. Love is remembering. I can find goodness in a kind word, a helping hand, or a shared smile. Love is tiny gestures. I can breathe in the air that the whole world shares and know all creatures are made from the very same stardust. Love is connection. When the clouds roll in, for others and for me, I now know there is something I can do. I can let my heart lead the way. I am love. You are love. We are love. And with love, we will weather the storm and light up the sky together. I am love. You are love. We are love. This week we embark on a Lenten journey. And traditionally, Lent has been seen as a time of giving up. Ash Wednesday, especially, a time of repentance, of looking at how we are broken, sinful people. But moreover, we have sought to use Lent not so much as a time of giving up, but a time of taking on. Not so much of a time of feasting, but a time of fasting, but rather a time of feasting. And this year, a time to feast on love. That I am love, that you are love, that we are love. And that we are loved, not because we are perfect, but because we are of God. We are God's holy people. Even in our brokenness, we are whole because we are holy. And so the theme that will guide our Lenten journey this year is inspired by that hymn that I used to sing growing up every Sunday. Holy, holy, holy. But we've given it a twist. On that second holy, you changed it into holy as being W-H-O-L-L-Y. that we are holy and we are whole. And because we are holy and we are whole, we are called to share that holy love with ourselves, with one another, with our world, with our opponents, as Valerie Fur reminds us. It's easy to say love one another when we likely one another we're going to love. But what happens when there's disconnect? When that other is an opponent or a stranger? Someone who doesn't look like us, or believe like us, or act like us, or love like us. God's love embodied in us creates that connection. And so on this Lenten journey, we're invited to take the time in many ways to be reminded of our own holiness and the holy love that dwells in us. Following worship, as you make your way, you may have noticed them coming in, we have Lenten care packages that have been designed for us individually and designed for our children and families. And the hope is that in these care packages, there are a number of things that will assist you along the Lenten journey that might become spiritual practices for you on a daily basis, maybe a weekly basis, to pause and to take the time to know that you are wholly loved. The image of the beach glass will be central to our Lenten journey. Beach glass, right? Just a broken bottle tossed away that is molded and shaped and softened and returned to the sand. A treasure piece. How many people go out looking for beach glass? And when you find them, wow, look at this. It's a broken piece of glass. But it's whole and holy and beautiful. We are often broken, but we are always beautiful. May this Lenten journey remind us each and every day that we are holy, holy loved. We are God's holy, holy people. Blessed be.
Your love is surprising, I can feel it rising, all the joy that's growing deep inside of me. Every time I see you, all your goodness shines through, I can feel this God song rising up in me. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Your love makes me sing, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Your love makes me sing, hallelujah.
It's a quote that has been attributed to many. Barack Obama, more famously, is often given credit for these words, but they come to us from June Jordan. And if you know the name June Jordan, you know her group Sweet Honey in the Rock, a group of African-American women. And June Jordan, in a book of poetry, often offers these words in a poem that was done in celebration of South African women. And her call and her invitation to all of us was to remember that we are the ones we've been waiting for. It's hard to remember. We are the ones we've been waiting for. If change is going to happen, if love is to be the way of our world, if justice and anti-racism and anti-poverty and anti-sexism and anti-violence, if all those things are commitments that we have, if we want to see the world a better place, the world closer to that vision we have for our world and our relationships to be relationships of trust and justice and compassion, and all those things we say and we hope for, we need to remember that we are the ones we've been waiting for. No one's going to do it for us. We need to take on the commitment to live out our commitments to be the people of faith in a world in need. Sometimes we feel that the actions we take or the gifts we offer are just so small, just minute in comparison to the needs. But we know that each and every gift makes a difference. Just as we toss a pebble into a pool of water, what happens? A ripple effect. We're part of the ripple effect. You and I, each one of us. And so thank you. Thank you for being you. Thank you for the gifts that you are. Thank you for the work and ministry that you share. Thank you.
Let our past our dirty remarks. There is one question I'd really love to ask. Is there a place for the hopeless sinner who has hurt all mankind just to save his own peace? With all my heart, oh, let's get together and feel as it was at the beginning, so shall it be again. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Oh, let's get together and feel alright. One more thing. Let's get together to fight this holy Armageddon. So when the man comes, there will be no doom. And pity on those whose chances grow thinner. There ain't no hiding place from the Father of creation. Whoa, let's get together and feel pleading to mankind. Whoa. give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Sing it, let's get together and feel alright.
You feel good? Let's try that again. You feel good? You feel all right? But what's love got to do with it anyways, Randy? Pardon me? It feels like we're getting Maybe that's our next fun fundraiser. Go sell the pig. It is good to be together. Good to feel the love of God's Spirit enfolding us and uplifting us. I am love. You are love. We are love. May that be our mantra this day, and as we move into the days to come. I am love. You are love. We are love. There's a world that weeps, yearning for a sign of mercy. The heart of God within us has no hands but our own. There's a friend in anguish, besieged by unexpected pain. The heart of God within us has no ears but our own. There is a multitude carved and weary from prejudicial ways. The heart of God within us has no eyes but our own. There's a stranger facing death alone, wondering if anyone will remember. The heart of God within us has no tears but our own. There is a life, hollow and lonely, longing for someone to walk alongside. The heart of God within us has no feet but our own. We are God's. We go ever aware of the blessing of God around us, beside us, within us, flowing